Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle. And we're your Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got Jaime 5 on deck. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Pretty good. Kyle, thoughts on the chapter?
I thought Nelson was going to call him Jaime or something from now on. What happened to that?
Yeah,
he realized his name was spelled different, and I thought he was going to go full in on this.
He's actually just Jaime.
Jaime.
I still write it as Jaime every time, too.
I thought it was going to take me a while to get it typed in my notes correctly, but I get it right every time now. It only took like 1 or 2 chapters till I read it correctly.
Sorry, I derailed us immediately. Hell yeah.
Have you gone in and fixed it, Nelson?
No, I haven't fixed it in the old ones. I mean, all of our old podcasts, even the
can't.
Titles and thumbnails, I think, are spelled wrong, but they should be fixed. You'll know when I fix it.
Regardless.
I won't know.
Man, too much dialogue. I feel like Jeff on this one. I was fucking like, all right, snore.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nelson. I feel like you're gonna love this one. But.
No, I think there's a lot of content. Again, I think it has the Jaime problem. He talks about the same shit with Devin that he talks about with Jenna, and we just repeat the same conversation. Again, it's different people, so it's kind of interesting for some of it, but
no, it's not.
It's the same. I feel like I've had this Jaime complaint for the past 3 Jaime chapters. He thinks about some shit, and then he gets to Lancel and talks about
he
some
says
shit,
that
and
shit,
he thinks about some shit, and he talks to
about
Bonifer about it, and then he talks to Devin about it, and he talks to Jenna about it. It's like, just have Devin and Jenna in the room at the same time, and we'll get both their you know what I mean? But
the important parts of the chapter, I guess, are kind of like the siege, right? Like the actual siege plans. Like, I don't feel like Devin mattered really at all. Like, Devin brought no substance to the chapter.
Yeah, again, he explains the siege, and then we get to the siege and see the siege. It's like, why did we get the explanation?
And then Aunt Jenna, like, what did she really bring? Like, I think both conversations, like, didn't bring a whole lot to, like, us as readers to move the story along. Other than that, we're now at River Run, and how are we going to break the siege, right? Like,
I will say I do like the Jenna conversation way more than the Devin conversation. She just seems like
a
cool
I think
character.
Jenna's a good character. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I'm gonna undercut, which I do. We do this all the time, right? Undercut what we said just 2 minutes ago. But I did like to see kind of more Lannisters, right? Like, we only know the power players currently for the most part.
I don't mind Devin. True. I like, as a character, I think he'd be good. I don't remember if we ever see him again after the siege. Right. Like, I don't recall him at all. But he was fine to, like, conversate with. But, like, when you're digging for stuff, like, I don't.
And then they do that stuff where they dump way too many names too quickly, and then I am like lost, and then I don't want to say I check out, but it's like hard to follow. And then they're like talking about, and then he's walking places, so he's like describing stuff while walking, and like it's kind of like a mix, and I'm like, is this happening? Is this the past? And it just kind of
It's definitely hard to check into the name thing, just because a lot of them are names that you don't even like. If you meet them, you met them in book 1, right? And they haven't done shit for you since. So, like, don't waste my time with that name. Like, give me the players and let's get on the board, right? Like, the little, like, Bracken, Blackwood, and, like, the other family mix. Like, just tell me that the River Lords, the little lords don't like us, right? I don't need the whole list of them.
I'm going to try and change your mind, because I think you're right. You guys are 100% right, and I can see why, like, unless you're taking crazy notes like me, none of these names mean anything. When you go through the podcast like this, I think you guys might appreciate it a little better, because there are some funny connections between a lot of these characters that are not spelled out clearly in this chapter, unless you, like, kind of really, really remember something or look it up.
Well, even, like, they did spell out that, like, the squires were sons of
River
people
Lords
in this region, so... All right, let's jump in. Kyle, overall, bad.
I mean, I already gave my overall, but I do think, I am looking forward to that, Nelson, is what I wanted to say before. I think I can be swayed with that kind of insight, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I think, I'll say this too, Nelson. When we read when we start this and we rate the chapter, it's probably the inverse of when we watch the episode and rate it right away, right? Like, we like the episode, and then we talk about it, and it's like, there's some plot holes. When we talk about the chapter, it fills in.
Like, hell yeah, this was actually way better.
Normally we like it more at the end than we did at the start, because we've learn some
hashed
of the,
out the details.
interesting connections and stuff. But yeah,
we're late for me to make the disclaimer of like, I mean, you guys can like what you like. I mean, the listener as well, right? Like, just because I don't agree or think it's a snore fest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll shoot it straight from the hip. I mean,
yeah, I think people know that about us. And again, I think I came off as I don't like the chapter. I like the content of the chapter. It just feels really repetitive and too long.
Retweet.
But yeah, I think, and something else I was realizing when I was going through is a lot of this is probably actually new information for Kyle. Basically, we haven't got any info about the Red Wedding or what's going on with that kind of crew of people since the Red Wedding. So this is kind of catching us up a lot there.
A lot of Frey stuff, right? Which is
Frey's and
like
Tully's.
Frey, Brendan. How are we pronouncing his name?
Brendan. Blackfish.
I got
Blackfish.
Gatehouse Amy spoiled by Nelson before.
I told you I might have been spoiling that nickname, but
that
whatever.
wasn't news. All right, let's get going.
All right, so Sir David arrives at camp. He's a Lannister, right? He's the Warden of the West. He got named over Kevin.
Yeah, he is related to Jaime Howe.
He is a cousin.
What kind of cousin?
He's
this is a trick question.
A cousin.
He's a first and second cousin because Tywin is married to his first cousin.
Okay.
So Jaime and Devin are both first cousins and second cousins.
So wait, Tywin, Joanne or
Joanna Lannister is Tywin's cousin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And that's how to Davin.
Joanna is Davin's
cousin. Aunt.
Aunt, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Aunt and cousin.
Yes. Yes, she is aunt and cousin as well. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So he is a hairy dude rolling in with full whiskers.
Why?
Not shaving it till he avenges his papa.
Yep, not avenging his papa. But then he explains, I can't avenge my papa because he doesn't say it straight out, but he says, Robb Stark took that from me when he killed Rickard Karstark, implying Rickard killed his father, which is true because his father is Stafford Lannister, who we knew had commanded Oxcross. I do think we hear a little bit about this, right? So we know that Robb's men attacked at Oxcross and won that battle kind of sneakily.
Was that was the one when they attacked at night, right? Or like
and Grey Wind got into the horse lines and basically scattered all their horses so they couldn't like form up or anything. Exactly. So I guess I'll throw one of the connections out here. Devon's father died at Oxcross. You know, someone else's father died at Oxcross. Ryman Frey's father, who's on the one commanding the North Camp, the lead Frey, his father died at Oxcross. But at the time, his father was fighting on Robb's side.
For Robb.
So the guys who are commanding two of these camps, their fathers died. Both their fathers died fighting against each other. They didn't actually kill each other, but you know what I mean? Like, they're not probably super friendly with each other, is kind of, I guess, my point.
Well, I mean, there's definitely that's bubbling up here. That's like all of Davin's point. Yes. Essentially, is like, fuck all these people I'm surrounded by. I can't last another 2 years.
I don't like them.
Yeah. Just quickly, Davin hasn't seen Jaime since the Whispering Wood. Says he was still worried about him since then, type of stuff. And then also, seeing the hand for the first time. So rumor got out that Cat cut his hand off.
Yep, and there was also a rumor at first that Jaime had been killed by Grey Wind. He says that way back when you had first got captured in the woods, we thought the female half of Lannisport was mourning for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they talk about his hand, Jaime has a funny joke. He's like, yeah, there's much to be said for being one-handed. I drink less wine for fear of spilling, and am seldom inclined to scratch my ass at court. So, kind of a funny.
I think I might scratch it more with a gold hand, knowing that, like, not my real hand.
I think the idea is like, I would be so clumsy it would be obvious. I can't get like a quick scratch in.
I got that for the wine. Yeah.
That's my guess, or just less second nature to do it because, like you know what I mean. It's like it requires conscious thought.
I mean, it probably doesn't have fingernails, right?
But I think it's just more of like it requires conscious thought to do things with my hand.
Yeah, but
I won't pick my nose at court.
I just don't believe that because like Captain Hook was pretty good with his deal, right? Like you got to get a thing where you could change the attach. He's had it for like a year now. I don't know, a couple months. Like get better. Like
yeah.
I mean, he doesn't wear it that often.
He says later he thinks he is, but we don't know if there's any truth to that. But.
He needs to get something where it's an attachment changer. But
we talked about that before.
Digress. Yeah. So I have him going inside the camp. Do you have him there?
He says Cat. He asked if Cat did it. You mentioned that. And Jaime says no, it was Vargo, and Devin spits. And he's like, yeah, fuck those guys. I told Tywin that was a bad idea. I offered to forage.
I do have a question. He said he was going to forage for Tywin. Like, does it mean like just run around burning shit?
He was going to go out and look for a Vargo. I think he was going to go hunt Vargo down.
I think he meant like when the war started, I offered to do what Vargo and the Hound and Imry Lords were doing.
Yeah. Okay.
You're
go
right.
out, kind of fuck shit up, and pull people out.
I don't know if the implication is he would have been as brutal about it, or if he literally would have gone to like town to town and been like, "Hey, give me the food you can spare." Again, I don't think he's going to get much food being nice about it, so I don't know. But I think what you're getting at is this imply he's not the nicest guy. I think maybe. I thought about that too.
He was willing to maybe do... No, I'm not even... I was just trying to... Like, what does he mean by forage there? Like, actually go steal food?
It's hard to tell, because later he tells Jaime, we have men out foraging. Jaime's like, how are you provisioned? He's like, well, we got fish and men are foraging, but it's not going to be good for the horse, like getting food for the horses. And there he seems like foraging means like, yeah, just go out into the wood and pick berries and stuff.
Yeah, which Fargo Hope wasn't really doing.
Exactly. So, I don't know. It's hard to tell.
So, they go inside the camp. Davin?
Either one. Davin. I think I go Davin.
Davin is a pretty funny character. Like, he has a lot of character to him. Like, he's making fun of busting balls with Piper and what's the other one's name? Peck.
You got 3. Garrett Page and Lewis Piper are both River Run boys. Not River Run, but Riverland's Lord's sons. And his third one is Josman Peckledon, who's a little bit older, and he's a Westlands guy who popped off in the Battle of the Blackwater.
Yeah.
So I think part of the Devin thing here, like you're saying, like he's funny and joking around and kind of arrogant and dickish. I think this is kind of supposed to be like kind
that's a Lannister way.
More of what Jaime was before he lost his hand and went through his shit with Brienne. It's kind of part of it. It's like Jaime's talking to his older self here a little bit. I think it's maybe part of this. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this, but I think maybe part of it.
I think that's probably a good way to explain this.
I feel it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's fucking around.
So he's making fun of Piper and his sigil. They have a pretty lady on their shield.
Naked woman. Yeah, dancing
naked woman with good teats, I think.
That's what he says. He says, I fucked up your brother one time. Who's Mark Piper in a melee one time.
Yeah. I've heard that name before.
We have.
Yeah, he was a buddy. He was like one of the really good buddies with Edmure. Like we always heard Edmure was joking around with this guy. And last we heard of him, he was at the Red Wedding. I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but he might be.
So the first meaningful thing we get is an update on the siege at Riverrun.
Yeah.
Which not much is going on.
He sits inside. We sit outside.
Pretty much, yeah. We got him surrounded, right?
Yep.
It's boring as fuck. The phrases are bothering me. And we get the name drops, Ryman, Edwin, and Emmon.
Yeah, he's like, I wish Blackfish would kind of come out and attack once or twice just to remind us we're at war and kill these fucking Freys. Some of them I don't like. These ones specifically is why he name drops us. I want these guys to die in a battle is kind of what he's saying.
Those are the important Freys, right? Like,
so Ryman is heir.
Yeah. To the twins.
He is Stevron's son. So Stevron, the one who died at Oxcross, I was mentioning earlier, his son is Ryman. Ryman's eldest son is Edwin. So Edwin is second in line. So these two that he doesn't like. Edwin's other brother was Peter Pimple.
He caught a noose, right?
Exactly. That's who Merritt was going to rescue. And I think I mentioned in the last Jaime chapter, why was Merritt doing this? Because he was afraid he was going to get kicked out of the twins whenever Walder dies because the next one comes in charge. Ryman would be the next one. So Merritt's thinking, if I can save his son, I'll be in good graces. He might let me stay here. Right? So those two, I think the third son is Black Walder, who isn't mentioned here, but is later he's mentioned. And basically they say he's fucking everybody.
He just bangs everybody. Yeah. Yes. And I think Merritt might have even brought him up that like Blackwater was like sleeping with his daughter, right, or something like that, or
because his daughter was a Mary Frey.
Gatehouse Mary.
Gatehouse Amy.
Yeah.
So say the name Blackwater doesn't imply he's up to good stuff, right? Like,
yeah. And he's not mentioned here, but I just threw him in here because basically that's that family tree is Ryman, and he has 3 sons: Edwin, Peter Pimple, and Blackwater. Peter Pimple's dead, got hung. Edwin is here. And what they say about him is he's full of hate. Ryman's drunk all the time. Edwin is full of hate. And then we also hate Sir Emmon Frey. I think he's just a straight up son of Walder, but by a different wife further down the line. So he's not really.
Is that not the guy that shows up later with Jenna?
That is.
No, that is. Yes.
Yeah. And he doesn't like him because this guy's trying to tell him how to run the siege. And we hear basically because he's the new lord. I think they do mention that here.
He's new lord of Riverrun. He doesn't want him to break the castle down.
Yeah. Be gentle with my new castle.
Yeah. He makes fun of Peck in the middle of all this too, because I think Peck is just young looking.
Yeah, he's 16. He's trying to grow a beard, and he's not doing it well. He's like, "What's that? Some dirt on your face?" Yeah,
yeah. That's a tough stage in life when like
you got to try.
We've all been there. Yeah. We've all been there, and it's just not good.
Some of us never leave that stage, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, what can you do?
Pia doesn't mind.
Jaime's like, "Wait, tell me more about these Freys. Like, what's going on?" And we get in like some marriage stuff.
The one thing about before we get off Jaws, he does say Stannis Baratheon's wife has a thicker mustache. So we've heard this before. Selyse has
for sure
has a mustache, but I think it's just funny that even this random Westerlands guy knows about Selyse's mustache.
The rumors make it, man. The rumors travel.
Yeah, it's funny.
I mean, Stannis is pretty important. I feel like you would his doings would travel the land.
Even Selyse too. Isn't Selyse from the west, kind of?
Yeah,
or
that's
like
right. She's a Florin. That's
or?
true. So she's from the Reach.
Yeah.
She would have actually been pretty close.
There you go.
To Lannisport. Good call.
Man, look at me just making connections. That's
There
why
you
I
go.
read this
Hell
chapter
yeah,
with
Jeff.
such detail and take notes because
I love it.
Yeah. All right. So there's some marriages supposed to be happening.
Yep.
Is what
We
I
also
have.
talk shit on Walter Rivers here too.
Yeah, and he says I don't like Walter Rivers, but I do like this one Frey, Perwyn Frey. Where have we seen Perwyn before?
He doesn't matter.
So he was one of the ones that wasn't. So we first saw him. He was sent with Kat to go when she went to Bitterbridge to meet with Renly and Stannis. So he was one of the people that accompanied her the whole way down. So we kind of got along with him, and he was just like he was just like a dude. He didn't do anything special. But then also when we got to the twins for the Red Wedding, there was a few Freys that were like notably absent, and it was kind of the Freys that we had been friendly with. I think like Rob Squire was absent, Olivar, Perwyn was another one. So it's kind of just like if you weren't at the Red Wedding and you're a Frey, you're still all right. And Devin's kind of coming to that same conclusion. Just like, yeah, this one Frey, actually, I like him. And as the fans, we're kind of like, yeah, we don't have anything against him either, personally. So seems like he's an okay dude.
That's funny. I didn't.
It's kind of funny.
I guess that his upstandingness kind of translated even to the Lannisters, is what you're saying.
Well, it seems like Devin has a similar viewpoint to what the readers would have. We hate most Freys because they did the Red Wedding, but Perwyn is like one that we actually saw. He was kind of nice, and then he seems to be excluded. And the thought is
right answer, wrong equation kind of thing.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he like got there a different way, I guess is what I'm saying.
But yeah, I mean, but it might just be that the
He's
Freys
not
are
like,
dicks.
oh, this dude's cool because he wasn't at the Red Wedding. Is all I'm saying.
There's also a Game of Thrones word that Devin drops a million times, and I was wondering.
Davin or David
Doesn't matter.
We can't add in Devin. We can't have a third
David
option.
doesn't matter. People know who I'm talking about, and I bet you Jeff didn't even look it up. Stoat. He says stoatish and he says stoat like 20 times.
I don't look up any Game of Thrones words.
Stoat is like a weasel.
It's like a weasel. Basically, he keeps referring to phrases stoats because they all look weasel-like. We've heard that before. I think Jaime even called...
I just use context clues and think about whatever I want.
But yeah, stoat is like a weasel. Exactly. He keeps referring
It's
to
just an animal.
Yeah, the phrase are stoatish. She's like, let's go see the stoats. He's literally talking about the phrase. So just kind of funny.
Yeah. All right. So Davin is set to marry one of the Freys. Not too happy about it. He'd rather marry the freckled girl from Red Wine.
Yep.
And Tywin is the one who had established this marriage pact.
Yep.
Do we know Des Mara?
We have heard of her. She was in my notes. I think Sam just saw her when he went to, because he had to go.
When he squired or
I think they were trying to set Sam up with her, right?
And he failed.
And he fucked it up because he sucks. Yeah. I mean, we like Sam, but yeah, he's not what they expected.
I don't remember that.
I think that's when we've heard of her. Yeah.
But yeah, fair. Okay.
So interesting. And Jaime's like, well, you better not break off this marriage because Freys don't like broken marriages. But then they start talking about Lancel, who just broke off a marriage with a Frey.
Well, he does talk about that though.
That's what I'm saying. They don't mention that that's what Lancel's doing, and that the Freys might be mad about it. But I mean,
he does.
They should be mad.
They were mad when
Why
Rob
not just
did it.
kill everybody? Yeah. sorry, this one wasn't a queen.
Yeah,
but
I think that's a big part of it, right? But
stand on business, phrase.
exactly.
Jaime says the same thing
about Devin's marriage, but not about Lancel's.
No, about Lancel's.
Okay.
We'll get to it at some point here, I think.
Yeah.
It says something like the hard faces looking at I didn't miss all these hard faces looking at me when I left kind of
you're
thing.
Right,
like people were like still pissed.
Yeah, you're right.
It seemed like people were not happy about what was happening. So
yeah. Well, at first here, I might be jumping around a little bit because Devin's
you are.
He's talking shit on Amy at first, right?
Yeah, so he's curious why Lancel picked her in the first place, knowing of her nickname and her reputation, and we know why, right, Kevin?
It wasn't Lancel.
We learned it in the prior Jaime because of the dairy connection, the dairy line.
Yep.
And yeah, so it was a joke, like don't break your connection, you might get your head chopped off and a lion sewed on top.
He's like, well, Lancel needs a horned helm then, is what Devin says. And he's like, well, he's off to join the warrior son, so he's not doing anything if he's not actually marrying her. And that's when they get into that. And yeah,
I keep forgetting the horns thing that we learned a while ago, and it
Yeah.
goes over my head every
comes up
time.
every time.
Until
Yeah, it's
right
kinda
now.
cool.
Yeah, I know.
now that we've learned it, I see it like literally in every other chapter.
That he's getting cucked by the guy. I don't,
Yeah,
I
just
forget
that she's cheating.
What's his
Yeah.
name? Who's the guy that's consoling her?
So here Lyle Craig calls consoling her. He's the one that swore to
Oh,
come
here you
back
go.
and help. But before,
Yeah, and the next line is, her tears had not troubled him half so much as the hard looks on the faces of her kin as they stood about the yard. So, like, people are pissed.
That's a good call. I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah.
I actually wonder what that meant, but you're right. That he's basically saying the Freys are
Yeah.
not taking kindly to her being left.
Yeah.
But then they're like, oh, well, they'll just take Lancel's younger brother and throw him in this thing.
They don't say it here,
Which-
but yeah, later Jenna says that. And I think it's probably a good. If it is Kevin's idea, then yeah, why not just go to the second son?
But how did that work with Rob, right?
That's true.
Like,
They offered another one with Rob. That's true.
I don't know, man.
Who did Rob offer? Bran?
No,
Edmure.
Edmure.
Edmure. Yeah.
He's here in this chapter with his
Yeah,
wife
he's-
and coming
he got
son or
Yeah,
daughter.
He's
We
got
don't
a
know.
bun in the oven. He's making it work. A happy marriage. She seems to like him too. All right. So then this conversation quickly is like, yo, you saw Uncle Kevin? Like, what was Unc doing? And not much. Uncle Kevin is brooding and didn't say much more than 3 words. And Devin was all worried about the Ward in the West title. Thought he'd be mad at him.
Like, that's like the last thing this guy wants to talk to you about, Davin. He's not gonna be like, oh yeah, I know it wasn't you, man. He's still gonna be like super pissed. Like, read the room, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, Kevin seems pretty level-headed. He should know that like Devin had nothing to do. It was all
He does
Cersei.
know. He's just pissed in general.
But you think
though,
Kevin,
right?
Kevin seems level-headed enough to not hold it against him. But
I
everyone
think
would
he's
be
just
a little pissed. Kevin also doesn't come off as like a super ladder climber. Like, yeah, he deserved it, but like, I don't know. I don't know.
We get that's later on too.
Clearly, I'm wrong because by the reactions we get. But yeah, the one thing I want to say is in here is where he does mention that Edwin Frey has been telling me I better pick a maid. Devin gets his choice of Frey. Davin gets his choice of Frey. And he's like, I better pick a maid or else Blackwater would have been there first. So
Yeah.
Yep.
This is wild.
yeah, crazy. I mean, again, not that it makes it that much better, but most of them are like probably not blood sisters. They're like at least closest half sister, mostly probably like our half nieces and nephews and shit. You know what I mean? He's 3 generations down already. He's Steveron, Ryman, and then Blackwater. If he's banging like first generations, that's like 2 aunts. That's like a great aunt. Not that it makes it better, but it's not like it's not as incesty as Jaime, and we like Jaime.
He's gross too. All right, so we hear that Ryman is acting a fool. He built a Game of Thrones word. What was he used gallows once, but it was something where it's like the gibbet, which is basically a stage for the gallows.
Yeah, a tall gallows. Yeah,
and he threatens that he's going to hang Edmure on it every day. Edmure stands there till the sun goes down.
Trots him out and puts a rope around his neck.
Yeah, every day, same old threat, and Blackfish is just pooping on it.
Fucking hang him. Yeah, it's one of those things they're all mad about because we learn later Jenna's even upset. Like, either do it or don't, right? I think is kind of where they're at.
Yeah, after the first time you don't do it, it's just like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Like, we called your bluff. Like, you can't keep bluffing. It's like imagine you're playing poker and you get a face-up hand and you bluff it, and then you keep getting that hand and you just keep running the same playback. Like, you can't do it. We saw your hand. You know, you're going to lose type of thing. Until the day you actually just do it, which is another thing that Jenna says later. It's like, let's just actually kill him, so they actually take it seriously.
So they do talk about his wife. You mentioned this earlier, Jeff, but he married Rosalind, and he actually bedded her. And Jamie's like, wait, he bedded her after the red wedding? Like, he still slept with her? And he's like, well, it was during the red wedding. Like, he didn't know what was going on.
All that great music.
Did we know? Like, I don't know if we knew this. It could maybe.
I don't know that we did. I
some
feel
of
like
it,
that was.
We knew the bedding ceremony was
happening. Yeah, they were out of the room.
They were in transit.
Yeah, I still wasn't sure.
Yeah.
If I believed it or not.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was clear because I think we have heard of some of the people who like had left with the bedding that like were in chains. Like I don't remember exactly. I don't think this is a spoiler because I don't remember. But I think like the Great John, right, like might be captive or something like that. But we know he left in the bed like for the bedding. Like I think we've heard of some people who weren't in the room that are now captive. You know what I'm saying? So it could have been inferred that shit did not go well with Edmure. But it seems like they at least got him in the room, got his shit going on, and then
he did his deed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pregnant.
It makes sense too, right? That was what they needed out of it. So I should have saw that one coming. I don't think I did though.
So then he says that Rosalind is actually fond of Edmure. So Sir Perwyn says that she's praying for a girl. This is again, this is kind of just a funny drop. Perwyn is the one that mentions this because Perwyn and Rosalind are full siblings. They're both phrased to the same Walder wife. So again, just kind of like an interesting drop that Perwyn is who he's hearing this from because she would probably confide this in her actual full brother, right? So, and why is she praying for a girl?
So they don't kill the baby.
No, other way around.
So they do kill the baby?
She's fond of Edmure. She knows if they have a boy, then they don't need Edmure anymore. They want Edmure for Tully blood. So if they have a baby boy, then they don't need Edmure anymore because they have a boy with Tully blood. So then the guy... Yeah. So that's what he's saying. He's like, it's interesting. She actually likes Edmure. That's why she's praying for a girl, because she knows if she has a boy, Edmure is dead, which she shouldn't she shouldn't care for Edmure. It's kind of like, as far as the phrase are concerned, right? Like we got what we needed out of him. Like
they've gotten their use.
Yeah, exactly. So, yep. Again, kind of interesting when you read between the lines on that one. And Edmund wants Edmure hung at once because Edmund is the new lord. But as long as there's a real Tully alive, it kind of makes his claim literally like a signature by a 5-year-old on a piece of paper, which is pretty much what it is. I guess Tom is a little bit older than that, but.
It didn't even sound like he signed this one. Or he's just stamping. He's just
he's stamping or scribbling. That's what I'm pointing. It's like, how funny would it be to like walk around and like shove a paper in someone's face and your like authority is literally an 8-year-old's scribbled signature. It's like, okay, bro.
Yeah.
Brienne's doing the same thing, so
it's working for her.
Yeah.
So Emmon, go ahead.
No, you go.
So Emmon wants to hang him. There's somebody else saying that we do not want to hang Edmure.
Gawain Westerling,
Gavin.
Because he's got.
Is it Gavin or is it Gawain?
Gawen.
I get some notes.
Autocorrect.
Yeah. So that's a name that I never would remember. Yep. Gawain.
It could also be a W that's pronounced like a V. You never know.
Oh yeah,
I have no idea.
Wolfgang.
So anyway, Westerling, because he's got some kids inside, including Rob's wife, right?
Yes.
That's a cool little. That was one of the cooler little snippets from the chapter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like some of these like new things that were definitely new for Kyle that I was like, oh wait, Kyle probably didn't think about this at all.
Well, yeah, because she didn't go along, right? Or she didn't go in.
She didn't go to the red wedding.
That would have been rude or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't want to flaunt his wife in front of the guy that he insulted. Exactly. So there's Sibel, so Gawain's wife is in there. That's Jane's mom, Sibel, and then three of her whelps is what he says. 2 sons
and Jane, right?
Well, one of the sons went with Rob to the red wedding. We actually haven't heard of him since then, I think. But yeah, what the younger son and younger daughter would also be in there with them. So Jean, Elena, and Rollum.
His lady wife inside the castle, along with 3 of his snot-nosed whelps.
Yeah, there was 4 snot-nosed whelps with them, and we know that one went with Rob to the red wedding. That was Reynald.
Yeah, so Gawain's worried that his Blackfish would kill his kids, and Jaime pretty much shuts it down right away. Like, Blackfish wouldn't do that.
True, but like Jane is like at least 15 or 16, I think, right? Like she's a kid to us, but not a kid to Game of Thrones times. And Sibel's in there too.
But also a woman. Like, I feel like that's like
women are the same as children. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Blackfish kind of seems from what we've seen of him, he seems cooler than that. I agree with Jamie's point.
It's interesting because Jaime seems to play from the place. Again, it seems like he's not like this anymore, but he has this thinking of, I can do some things because this man's bound by honor. When like no one would give him that credit, right? Like he says, like, I'm gonna go meet with him at the moat, and someone's like, no, the archers, and he's like, they're not gonna shoot me. And it's like, why not? It's like, well, just because you know he's more honorable than you are, like, you would take the shot. Or again, maybe not new Jaime, but old Jaime would have taken the shot. So
well, I don't even know I don't think that to be true either. I think Jaime would be like, all right, I'll come down and 1v1 you if that's what you want to do. Like Jaime's not gonna have somebody snipe him while he's like fake talking, right?
Sure.
Like old Jaime would have pulled out a sword and be like, all right, you want to do it, like we'll do a one-on-one style.
My point is, like, in like book 1, I always used to say like Ned, by being so honorable, is playing the game with one arm behind his back because he just like doesn't have some options that other people have. Well, and by making it so clear you're honorable, your opponents know that. Right, so Jaime knows that Edmure won't do the dishonorable thing. Where Jaime won't do the dishonorable thing now.
Not
Brendan,
not Edmure.
Blackfish. So Jaime, I think we would all agree, Jaime would not do something like that now. but no one would give him that thought, right? Like, no, if Jaime was in the castle, no one would feel comfortable coming up to the drawbridge, assuming that he's not going to shoot arrows at them.
But I don't believe that.
I don't believe he.
I probably wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't do it if I was a character. But as a reader, I'm like, nah. Jaime would rather 1v1 you.
Yeah. My point is, Brendan has the exact.
It's the reputation.
Opposite reputation.
I
as
understand.
Jaime. Exactly. Yep.
I understand.
Cool.
All right. So they have the castle well surrounded. There's one Frey on each side, and then Davin's on the one as well. I think he's on the most west side.
Yeah, I sent you guys the map. I'll show it real quick because they do talk about it later when Jaime shows up.
All right. Yeah, this is what I pictured.
Yep. So Ryman, the Frey, the big Frey camp to the north of River Run, above the Tumblestone. Jaime's cousin Davin is to the west, to the left. So
near River Road, the River Road
exactly.
path.
He's in between the fork and the Tumblestone.
Yep. And the Emmen Frey camp, who's also with Forley Prester, who has some Westermen, and with all the rest of the River Lords who are supposed to have joined them, are on the right side of the Red Fork. And Jaime later, the other part of the map, Jaime meant the east side, exactly. Jaime mentions that they have to cross the Red Fork upstream of the castle. So basically, they're following the river right now. They have to walk through Emmen's camp to get to Davin's camp.
Because Ryman is where River Run is written on your map, right?
Exactly.
Correct.
So Jaime doesn't actually go to that area to get to where he's going today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody sees it or something briefly, but yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Cool.
Yep. They also have the river cut off with the Game of Thrones word.
Boon.
Which I know is a real thing, I'm sure.
It's like what Tyrion had.
The big chain.
I think Boom? With an M?
No, N, I think. Boon. Like the guy from Lost.
Nobody watches Lost.
There's an E on his name, I think. It's like what Tyrion had with the chain, basically, is what I'm picturing.
Yeah.
It's got an M in my books. No,
but they wrap basically the whole deal, right? Like every part, or I guess the two rivers are cut off, yeah?
Well, they all flow into the same river.
Fork.
They flow to the same river.
Well, the Tumblestone, which I guess you wouldn't have to...
The Tumblestone flows into the Red Fork. They
No, I understand. They're worried about people escaping via water.
Yeah.
Right? Can you escape from River Run by Tumblestone, or do you have to use the bottom part of the Red Fork?
They both flow into the same point.
It all goes into the Red Fork. So you just put it down later on the Red Fork, and eventually they...
put it down on the Red Fork after where the Tumblestone flies in, and you got it.
I gotcha.
Like near, not this far, but like where the end of the Neely Man is, right? Like upstream like that, or downstream, I guess. So it seems like that's probably where they have it.
Everything's flowing east.
Yeah, left to right. That confused me for a while too. I thought it was flowing right to left, and then I realized that it probably flows into the bay. So yeah, because that confused me too.
Well, I'm just from the mountains too, but
yeah, from the mountains. Yep.
All right. Anything else on the map?
So they sent Manfred, you, and Reynard Redegar to command that thing, the Boon.
Boom with an M.
Boom.
Boom doesn't matter.
With an M. Yeah, defending that.
Yeah, it's like a game. Lowered the boom. You have to have heard lowered the boom.
Yeah, it's not. It's a real.
I guess I thought it was. I always thought it was with an N though, but whatever.
You just can't read. Yeah. All right. So
like a boom at microphone.
I know that word was a boom.
Same idea.
Or like when you drop a bomb, boom. Or like when I roast you, boom roast you.
Anyway.
All right. So Blackfish, we find out, has enough food for 2 years, so he's chilling. They're sitting in there. He gathered everything up, picked the land clean before he locked the doors, and we now know that they are eating the fish from the river, which is probably nasty. Like, it's probably good fish.
That's what the Lannister crews are eating, right?
Yeah.
Not the,
It's a good point, Jeff. I didn't really think about that.
Bodies been chilling in there.
I mean, but most of the bodies have been probably downstream.
Yeah.
At this point.
It's got, I guess it's all going to flow, you'd think, but
upstream for Devin is downstream for the other guys. His latrine pits are going downstream into somebody's fishing hole.
For sure. Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, like the bodies and stuff, you would think most of the fighting wasn't fish fuck in the water. Like you're eating.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Oh, they love some fish sperm on alone.
It's good calories.
They find a fish with a sperm sac, they suck that shit up, man. They like the eggs too, but some of them like the sperm a lot.
Yeah. All right. But they're trying to. They got enough food, but the horses are going hungry, and they got people trying to forage, but as they forage, more deserting, and they come across some that are hanging, and we get into a conversation about who's doing the hanging. Yeah,
because Jamie's like, we came across some of these actually 2 days ago, too. It was a bunch of naked guys hanging in a crabapple tree with apples stuck in their mouths. And Jamie points out notably they had no other wounds on them. And
so they're obviously hung, right? Not killed.
Well, he takes that to mean they yielded. And he's like, and then they got hung anyway. So
no defensive moves. Okay. wounds.
And someone doesn't like that. Lyle Craig calls like that. That's fucked up. Like, you don't fucking hang someone that yielded. I forget who says it. It might not be Lyle, but yeah, someone's pissed off, and he says that Jamie says he thinks the rope suggests that it was Barrick. Or yeah, I guess he thinks that it was. He said it was Barrick, but Devin says, well, Barrick, but maybe outlaws, but also maybe the River Lords. She's like, some of these River Lords aren't actually as loyal to you as you think.
Well, I thought he said or Northmen.
And there's some bands of Northmen too. He does mention that.
Well, he said, I'm pretty sure this is how he said it. It could be outlaws. It also could be the Northmen. They're still chilling around. And we got these River Lords who are kind of fake friends to us. Like, keep your eye on them too. I don't think he really expected them, but I think in the future, he's like, I got my eye on these cats. But who knows? Maybe.
Two things. So one is, Nelson, the name Strongbore, just because I want you to translate who that was. That's who got pissed.
Lyle Craig Hall.
That is Lyle Craig Hall. Yeah. So, okay, you're right. Okay. And then the second thing is Jeffrey Wright. He said, but I don't know if I agree with your second point. He still seems like he thinks it might be the Trident guys. He says it might have been outlaws or not. There's still bands of Northmen about, and these lords of the Trident may have bent their knees, but methinks their hearts are still wolfish. So, like, he's still like, I still don't trust them.
Yeah.
It still could be them kind of pulling off clandestine stuff against my men.
What do you think, Kyle?
It doesn't seem like Barrick was out this way. I don't know. These guys don't seem like who he was hunting to me, if that makes sense. These guys are just Lannister dudes foraging, maybe. They might be stealing, but it doesn't sound like Barrick to me seemed like he was out there trying to get the ones that were doing the stuff we heard about in Salt Pans, right? Like the rapers and the awful stuff. That to me is how I read their group. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing like they're just in here for anybody stealing.
No, they seem like they had good intentions.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so stealing from the small folk is still not the best, right? So, like, but I don't know that I would see him hanging people over that. It seemed like he was going after the more egregious ones. So I am on probably not outlaws. Okay. His band Outlaws.
Gotcha. Okay, you don't think Barrick would have hung these guys just for going out and trying to find food? The crime isn't worth the punishment. Embarrassment was pretty fair, so it doesn't seem like Barrick.
That's the way I read that vibe. Yep, I could be off.
I get you. Okay. No, I like that take, which then implies bands of Northmen or Rivermen.
I would go with the Riverlands.
Or a fourth party.
Or the wolf pack learned how to tie some rope.
Yeah. Or a fifth party.
Do you have a thought there, Jeff, or are you just throwing in more speculation?
It's so early in the book. We know we got 2 more books. It's a perfect time to introduce a new band of outlaws.
I mean, the Brave Companions are out there. There are scattered bands of Brave Companions out there.
So while this conversation goes on, he sees Jamie Squires that are listening in the back, and 2 of them are Riverlord sons. We mentioned that earlier. So it's like, damn, you talking about my people like that.
Yep.
But Dondarrion's been pissing everybody off. A lot of rumors.
Can't be. Some say he's killed all the time. Then you hear he can't be killed. He's like, I don't like it. And then he's like, I have scouts that report there are these fires in the high places and some in the towns too. They're worshiping this new god. So it seems like this
R'hllor, baby. Pass that shit on, man.
Is it banned? Like, because we know the Brotherhood Without Banners used to kind of split up. They said if you're all in one huge group, you eat the country dry. So they would always stay in like a bunch of groups. So is this just like a bunch of different bands of that outlaw group split up and having their own fires at nighttime? Night fires?
They seem smarter than that too. Like, why would you draw
we're here
attention to where you're at? Yeah, like everything they've been doing was hiding.
It's your religion.
It didn't seem like that was how Thoros was either.
The answer is because the night is dark and full of terrors. Of course, Kyle.
I'm going to disagree with that one as well. They lived in a hole in the ground. Like,
it's true.
Right? Like, and like there was another one where they were up in the trees and stuff. Like, I don't know if they're just having like huge open bonfires. Thoros seems smarter than that, and he's still getting his magic or his skill somehow, right? Like he still seemed like it was working without those.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can explain those fires. Is all I was going to say.
I can't either.
Okay. Good.
I don't even have an opinion. So the last kind of part of this conversation is that they already did try to treat with Blackfish, but Ryman was an ass when doing so.
Yeah, he just showed up drunk on his horse and like was shouting threats, right?
Yeah. He's like, all right, fuck you.
His horse got an arrow when they asked for it, and he fell off into the mud, and everybody laughed at him. Even Devin, who almost pissed himself. David.
And Jamie like, I need to break this siege without taking up arms. Like, I got this inner conscious of my pact with Kat that I won't do my vow to her, and
unless it's too hard, then I will.
And then I might have to.
He does think that later. He's like, I do have another vow that's more important though, so this one's not that important.
Well, he got 2 vows, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, which vow means more?
Yeah.
And we hear it again, like, why isn't Kevin hand? From Davin's curious about that.
Yeah.
And he's like, that doesn't smell right, but doesn't bring anything to the table about why it doesn't smell right. Jaime knows why it doesn't smell right.
Yeah, so Devin doesn't seem to put anything together here. It seems like Jenna might later. We'll get to it, but like kind of understand why Kevin might not have taken the position. And the answer is because he knew Cersei and Jaime were fucking, which he thought he had some power over Cersei. He's like, okay, make me hand and you get out of here, or send me back to Castle Rock and make me lord there. And she's like, fuck you, I don't have to do what you say. I'm the queen, bitch.
Not doing either.
Get out of here. Exactly. So that's kind of how it actually happened.
The queen, bitch.
That was really how it happened. That was the answer.
Yeah. She poured wine on his head somewhere in there too. But the offer was there. You could be hand. He just had the ultimatum only if you leave. And obviously that wasn't going to happen. So,
and Jaime's also like, I got to get this done quick so I can get back to Tom in my rightful place. But really, I kind of want to I'm still kind of dreaming of Cersei, even though she bangs Moonboy in my dreams. I kind of want to see her too.
Yeah,
this is a quote. He's like, how is our Cersei doing? Beautiful as ever. And he says radiant, then he thinks fickle, and he says golden, and he thinks false as fool's gold, and then he thinks that last night he dreamed he'd found her fucking moon boy. He'd killed the fool and smashed his sister's teeth to splinters with his golden hand, just as Gregor Clegane had done to poor Pia. In his dreams, Jaime had 2 hands. One was made of gold, but it worked just like the other. And then he says, the sooner we're done with River, and the sooner I can be back at Cersei's side. And then he thinks what he would do then, he did not know. Kyle, thoughts? He used to have sexy time dreams about Cersei. Now he's having punch her face in dreams.
Sometimes you gotta punch your sister.
That's fair. That's a good point. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Every vibe he's given around her has been like he's over. We talked about this one of the last Cersei or Jaime chapters. Just like, I guess it's been so long, right? Like the relationship or whatever has been so long. So I guess to expect it to be just kind of kaput already for me is a little much.
Yeah, it's not just gonna die like that, like in a snap.
Yeah, but it felt like it was. I don't know, the way, like, he was pretty pissed at her sometimes. So maybe it's just like some of those moments of anger or disappointment or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I hope not. Right, like everybody hopes not. It's kind of a weird relationship.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point. Is he's conflicted. But
I just meant I hope we don't have to experience them banging again.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Ooh. I mean, not that Cersei and Taina is much better. So that's kind of weird too.
At another funeral, maybe.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
So here he walks around his own camp. Devin leaves and he walks around his own camp, right?
Which is cool. I like this part. This short little part. Jaime enjoys it. He feels at home around the men. Couple notes that I had. The tree. I didn't take it down what everybody was doing that he was walking around. But the trees were whistling and the wolves were howling. Just some north signs there. I like that.
Yeah. Whistling trees. Yeah.
The only thing I really noted that he did is there was girls riding on guys' shoulders playing chicken fights.
Raft the Sweetling.
Raft the Sweetling is one of
them.
They're
playing chicken. They're playing chicken joust.
Playing chicken joust, exactly. I think this is weird because he mentions that, like, first off, we know it's autumn, and tomorrow he's like, it's really cold and windy, and I could, like, feel the bite of the wind through my wool. It's like, these guys are naked in the river playing chicken the night before. Like, okay.
Well, whatever. Chicken's not fun clothes, so.
I'm saying it's got to be a little chilly for that activity.
I was just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, then he goes and gets Ilyn. He's like, let's go. Time to do our thing.
Let's go. They walk down to a burn town, and for the first part of the fight, he's like, man, I'm actually kind of getting better. I'm doing this thing. And then Ilyn, that pisses Ilyn off, and he just he just gets him.
Not today.
Yep, exactly.
Puts a sword in his lips.
On his mouth, to his lips. I thought that was kind of weird. I didn't know.
Well, you know what it is. You always say it all the time. George treats a sword like
Sword's
like
penis.
a penis.
Like a penis. Yeah. I was thinking it might be because Ilyn doesn't have a tongue.
Nah.
But I don't know.
Nah, that was a dick reference for sure.
I think it was just one of those, like, just
like I own you. Yeah,
pretty much.
How's this steel taste? Stay on your knees, Jaime. That's exactly what George was saying.
I did notice that, Jeff, because I've been paying attention to, like, when things happen with people, one person on their knees, ever since the Cersei chapter where she was making a big deal about, like, the High Septon trying to force her to her knees. And then when he was with Lancel was on his knees and Jaime wasn't, and then here Jaime's on his knees and Ilyn's not. So it gives even more hint to your penis parallel. I like it.
Power plays.
Yeah, power plays. But here he gets up and he's pissed off and he wants to throw his hand in the river and he thinks his golden hand's good for nothing and his left one is not much better. So he's just frustrated.
You just need to put a dagger on that thing, man. You need to send the Raven to Qyburn and just get a sword arm.
Jeff wants the attachments bad.
It's the stupidest thing. Like you could have the hand for like dinner time, but come on.
Wasn't that The Walking Dead? Didn't that guy Merle? Didn't he have like a sword hand for or knife hand for?
He had something cooler than
I think he had a knife hand. Yeah.
All right, so rough ride to River Run the next day, and he was like, "Damn, this castle riding up is not going to be an easy nut to crack."
Yeah.
And as he's riding through Ryman's camp, he sees Edmure standing up on the gallows.
Yeah. He's not actually riding through, but he sees it in the distance, and he sees Edmure's.
He's riding by.
Yeah. It's across the river, but yeah.
Ryman's men are having a good time. A lot of activities at Ryman camp.
Yep. And he saw a lone figure on the thing, knew it was Edmure. He almost pitied him. Better to just have his head off than make him go through that.
Stand there every day. That would be brutal. Can you imagine standing all day?
Especially, like Jamie saying, it's cold and windy. Like, it would be just kind of like suck after a while, just weather-wise.
Can I get a jacket?
Exactly.
It was also mentioned that all the freight camps are just like disordered. Like they're not in lines. Probably there's shit going all over the place.
Yep. We hear there's a singer over there.
Ryman brought a singer. Yeah, you need to get in there.
Because Jenna brought a singer. Like you can't talk shit on Ryman when your aunt did the same thing. But yeah.
No.
I mean, Ryman needs to figure it out. He seems a little unorganized. But yeah.
Above River Run, we're still flying the Stark flag.
Yeah.
Got us, the wolf. As long as there's a flag, you're still alive out there.
Which is weird. Like, who are they? Like, literally who? Rob's dead. If they think that there's like a Stark in command,
his wife.
Is it okay?
Sansa. I don't know.
Jean.
Who did?
Rob's saying Jean.
Jean Stark.
His
I like
wife,
that.
Yeah.
Jean. Yeah.
I don't
Jean
hate
Stark.
It. Yeah.
And he thinks back to his first trip to River Run when he was a young
squire. Yep.
And Hoster made him sit next to Lysa the whole time, which she wasn't that bad back in the day.
Yeah.
She was fine in Jaime's eyes, but he really wanted to sit next to Blackfish and just hear all the tales of war and knighthood and yada yada.
He does also mention that he's like, Lysa was cool, but she lacked Catelyn's fire. Like I was interested in Catelyn, but she was already promised to some northern boy, the lord of some northern savage, the
northern
Lord of Winterfell.
Douche.
At this point, this would have been Kyle.
Brandon
Stark, yes. Ned's brother. Yep. Exactly. But yeah, like Jeff was saying, he didn't care about the girls. Girls have cooties. He cared about the legend, the Blackfish from the War of the Nine Penny Kings, which Maribald recently told us was hell for him as a lower guy. Blackfish, knight hero, probably had guys taking care of his horses and shit, goes in there and stomps some fools, makes a name for himself, and now Jaime wants to hear all about Meleys the Monstrous and the Ebon Prince. Ebon Prince, looked it up on the wiki, gotta be one of the craziest names. Zobar Cahoqua. Zobar?
Cloaca?
Qhoqua.
I can't even picture that in my head. I'd have to see that, yeah.
Quoqua. But it's a crazy name. But Meleys the Monstrous and the Ebon Prince. We know I think we've heard of Meleys before.
A person?
A person, Meleys the Monstrous. He was the last of the Blackfyre's pretenders killed by
Blackfish?
Not Blackfish.
I have no idea.
The Kingsguard.
Who's with Danny now? Barristan. Barristan's telling me that's where literally Barristan made his name, was killing Meleys in this war. Yep.
How do you like that pull out, Nels?
That is a good. I mean, you said the Kingsguard, but
that was a guess.
I knew.
You knew who I was.
I knew who you were talking about.
I would have got the Barristan.
That was a good pull, though. I'll give you credit. I give Kyle credit when he gets the Brienne. I'll give you credit.
All right, let's keep going. We're getting through Daven's camp.
Yeah, they cross the river, right?
We cross the river, riding through Daven's camp, and the River Lords aren't here.
Actually, no, but yeah, before they get to Daven, this is still in Emmons camp. So they're not across the river yet. They're in Emmons camp. Yep, good call. Sorry, just corrected myself. And I think there's some really interesting stuff here. So he mentions a list of sigils he sees and he doesn't see.
Yeah, we'll list them off because I didn't write any of them down.
House Leicester. So I'm going to give you lords if we know them. The lord is Lord Lyman, and what we know is Arya visits him in Arya 4 Storm of Swords when she's with the Brotherhood, has just got captured, but they're not with Beric yet, and they're looking for Beric. She goes to his castle to get help to find Beric. So this guy, at least at one point, was definitely a Beric friend, right?
He might still be, right?
that's kind of my point here. Is I'm gonna go. Literally, each one of these guys has reasons to not like the Lannisters, or we know that they've helped the enemy of the Lannisters.
Yeah, you're right. This does get more interesting when we get a little backstory.
So House Vance, the Lord is Lord Kyle Vance. He was one of the 7 knights who pushed off Hoster's funeral boat, like when he died. So
he's a Host, big Tully fan.
I mean, all these guys we know are Tully supporters, but some of them might have like actual personal ties to some of these Tullys, right?
Okay.
House Root, we haven't heard much of them. All we know is that when the Brotherhood was like condemning the Hound for all of the sins of basically House Lannister, that even though he had nothing to do with them, one of the Roots was mentioned as being killed. House Goodbrook, Lyman Goodbrook is one of Edmure's best buddies. We hear of him just hanging out with Edmure a bunch and when they're on the way to the Red Wedding and stuff. And we know that one of his relatives, Garce Goodbrook, was killed outside, like at one of the camps in the Red Wedding. We saw it like in an Arya chapter. House Smallwood, they actually say small. In my book, they say Smallford. This is a typo.
Small dick.
I don't know if it got fixed, but this is Smallwood. We definitely know these guys, right? This is the people.
I have House Smallford as well.
It's actually Smallwood. I looked it up there's like a confirmed errors page, like website. It's supposed to be Smallwood. I mean, Arya stops with them, right? She dresses Arya up in like an acorn gown that Arya hates and shit. So they're again Brotherhood friends for sure. I think they might actually go there twice. And then House Piper, who again I said we've heard of Mark Piper, was
Edmure's bestie.
Who was one of Edmure's besties, and his brother, Mark Piper's brother, is Jaime's squire right now. So, Mark Piper was at the Red Wedding with all these people. So, all of these houses that we just went through have reasons to not love Jaime. Again, maybe not hate, but they seem like they were.
Well, and not even just Jaime, but like
the Lannisters and the Freys in general, right? Who are they're here with Lannisters and Freys.
Yeah,
and a lot of them had impacts by the Red Wedding, or at least the war in general.
I'm learning this information. I'm team these guys are the resistance that are just kind of doing what they have to currently.
And it seems like it's not a huge secret. Like Davin seems very suspicious of this, but yeah, just kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, and then even Jaime's like, well, and these are the only houses that are here, right? We're missing the Mallisters.
Yep, Seaguard. Lord Jason Mallister is the Lord. We heard that they wouldn't surrender, basically. They were one of the houses that was holding out, but we did hear that they had finally either surrendered or lost their castle. We got news of this in one of the King's Landing chapters. It was a decent while ago, though, so it is, I guess, maybe surprising that they're not here. But I think somebody mentions a Frey who I think is still there at like, I thought they mentioned that like, oh, this Frey is still at the siege castle? Of Seaguard.
Seaguard, okay.
But I thought they mentioned something about that, like one of the Freys is still at the siege of Seaguard, which is weird if we've already heard that Seaguard surrendered. So I'm not 100% sure. I might be misremembering that though.
Brackens,
they're not here. That's expected because they're fighting the Blackwoods, who also didn't surrender. So basically, the Blackwoods and Brackwoods hate each other. Brackens did turn over to the king, so they're like, "Hey, well, you take care of your enemy and make them come at our side too."
Okay, so that there's Jaime reasons that they're not here.
Jaime explains the Bracken one away. That makes sense. But yeah, the other ones
the
are
Rygers.
We don't know much about Ryger. And Page hit Jaime's squire. One of his squires is a Page. That's like kind of the Page connection.
But they're still not here.
Yeah, Page and Ryger are smaller houses that we haven't heard a ton about. But yeah, they're not here.
All right. So the most important part about this is we got to get this shit done quick, or these guys are gonna turn on us. They're gonna find a way.
Exactly. So again, Jaime probably knows a lot of the things that we just went over. So he's like, yeah, these guys that are here, they're here, but they don't love us. So we got to get it done quick. Exactly before, and just before, the longer it holds out, the worse we look. We look weak, and it makes Blackfish look strong. So like, hey, maybe we should go back and just support them. Maybe we can turn this thing over, right? If we all switch sides. So yeah, he's like, the faster we get this done, the better. And then they cross the river.
As I say, they blow the horn, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's hoping kind of to see Blackfish show up.
It's weird. They blow the horn to cross the river.
Well, they assumed he would come out and watch, right?
Yeah, I think he's just trying to get some attention here.
Okay, I'm here.
So Sir Hugo and Sir Dermot. I feel like you're going to explain who these guys are, or does it not matter?
No, they don't matter.
These are the guys that we've heard multiple times carrying the banners. It used to be Red Ronnet carrying this banner, and then
I just meant their names in full because
Sir Hugo Vance and Sir Dermot of the Rainwood.
Okay, Hugo Vance, isn't there Vance somewhere else in here?
Yeah, so he is a river lord.
Okay,
part of Jaime's crew from King's Landing also had rivermen with him.
You're right. Sorry, Jeff. This is the important stuff to me, though, I think.
Because a lot of River Lords had showed up to King's Landing to bend their knee in King's Landing. So some of the men that Jaime's taking back out are River Lords with him. He was saying, like, I think he only mentioned that in his first chapter when he leaves King's Landing. But yeah, he did mention that. So yeah, here we got Hugo Van, Storm Under the Rainwood. They're carrying the banners now. Again, I mentioned it last time because when they were at Derry, Ronnet had got replaced. And we had heard that Ronnet got sent off because Jaime and him had the misunderstanding.
Beat him up.
Yeah, misunderstanding, I guess is a polite way of saying it. But yeah. When he gets to the Lannister siege side or the Lannister camp side, they've been doing work.
Ready for
2
violence.
siege towers, got a ram, building more siege towers. He's like, okay, we've been getting there.
They've been building shit up. And they're like, yo, do you want to have a council? Do you want to get all the peeps together? And he's like, no, I want to meet with Brendan before I do anything with y'all.
Yep. Tells beardless John Bentley to figure out somehow to go get that word to Brendan, tell him to meet me on the drawbridge at dawn. At daybreak.
Way too early, man. Sleep in a bit.
He tells everybody, I think he says at first light, and he tells everybody else, it does Adam, go check out the perimeter, make sure we're secure, and here's where I want the horse lines, here's where I want this, go set up my tent, and we'll see. Yeah. I'll go see who comes to me.
Yep, and Aunt Jenna and Uncle Emin are the first to show.
Really the only to show, at least that we see.
Only to show, yeah. Quick apologies for your loss. Dickhead Jaime thinks about his hand before his dad. That was funny.
Pretty rough. I have a new one made of gold. Very nice. Will it make you a gold father too?
Yeah. And she wants to hear what actually happened to Tyrion. Did he actually die on a pooper? And did Tyrion do it? Type of stuff.
I think it's funny that even Jenna doesn't believe the news. Like, who's a Lannister? She's Cersei's aunt. Even she doesn't believe the shit coming out of King's. Maybe that gives her more reason to not believe Cersei because she knows her personally. But yeah, I guess my point is, if even Jenna doesn't believe this, does anybody else in the country believe?
Well, I mean, we don't know who's telling the rumors either. It's not like it was straight word from Cersei, like.
But like Tyrion killing Tywin.
I mean, she's gonna get important news.
Well, that's like world news. I bet everybody got, hey, Tyrion killed Tywin on the pooper, right? Like that was
exactly
the headline.
My point is Jenna doesn't even believe it. She thinks that Cersei might have made it up because.
But it's just so outrageous. I think it's.
I guess that's a good. Yeah, Cersei knows.
Can you let me finish it, and you can then say it's a good point?
Go ahead.
It's more because it's just an outrageous headline that you're like, is that really what fucking happened? Then like.
I was actually thinking, and because Jenna knows Cersei, she might know that Cersei hates Tyrion and is more likely to make that shit up than, you know what I mean? So both those things together make it more likely to be a fake, just because it is so crazy and because Cersei has a reason to lie about it.
Well, and she also, the very last thing she gets into as well, right? Like, we'll get to it then, but she also kind of thinks highly of Tyrion to some degree.
Yeah, I would say you could infer that.
Sure. I guess I'm
maybe
wondering
not highly, but
if she thinks highly of Tywin. She definitely respects Tywin. I think she
also loves Tywin.
She definitely sees some flaws there too.
But I guess what I was getting at with the Tyrion at the end, she's like, no, that's your dad's actual son. Like in a way, like he is your father. So yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe
I think it's the way his mind works, type of thing, is what she was getting at there.
Yeah.
All right, but what happened to my boy Cleos? He lied and he died honorably.
He lies to her a bunch, yeah.
Which I respect. I actually give them on the lie.
Buried her under a hill.
It's insignificant. Yeah, right?
Like, we'll send some bones. Like, she doesn't need to know that he was actually dragged by a horse and...
and then just left out to get eaten by
pretty
crows.
Horrible death. Yeah.
Emin, again, is scared that David's going to ruin the castle, and he brings out this paper. No, like, all right, get the fuck out of here. You're not even actually Lord of the Riverlands. You're going to be bitch boy to Peter Baelish once he takes Harrenhal.
Yeah.
Put your fucking paper away.
He's like, I'm gonna be a great lord, even to my father. My father, because he's technically my father is my bannerman now. And Jaime's like, shut the fuck up. You're not nothing. Like, you got Riverrun. That's it.
Move that shit.
Peterfinger. Littlefinger's in charge. Not you.
And Jenna heard enough to. Emin, get the fuck out. And Jaime thinks to himself, like, she plays the wife part well, but sounds like she's a little gatehouse Amy too.
Well, there's a part where when he starts going crazy about like when Emin starts going crazy about all the things he wants, he's like, take it up with Cersei. And he thinks to himself, like, Cersei would pick her teeth with Emin if she isn't too busy fucking Osmond. But then she's like, get the fuck out of here. We got grown up things to talk about.
Matters.
Yeah.
Who the fuck made this guy Lord? First topic. That dude's an idiot. What are you guys doing? What was Tywin thinking?
Yeah.
And this was an interesting little deal. It was like, I wish we would have got dairy instead because there's less danger to come with dairy than River Run. There's just people coming for you, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the Tullys or not.
Also interesting that she mentions that, or Jaime thinks about something that Emmon it seems like Emmon's lived at Castle Rock most of his life. He was sent there when he was 14, married, and has lived there since, and basically been uncomfortable the whole time because, like you were saying, Jenna is basically in like flirting with everyone in the open at dinner, like, and Jaime says like, yeah, she gave him 4 sons, but
we don't even know whose they are.
No one has the courage to say they're not Emmons, not even Emmon, but who knows? Cleos, I mean, he seemed Emmon-like. He seemed Weasley, right? So you think there's some Frey in there, but that's it. That's the one we've seen.
Well, that's just nature versus nurture.
Looking Weasley, though.
No, I know. I know.
Yeah.
Stoutish. Seemed like they're stoutish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so sorry, they get into the dairy stuff, and he's like,
yeah.
The family tree here is Jean Dairy was Cleos's wife. Okay. Cleos is Jenna's son.
Okay.
So Jean Dairy was Cleos's wife. Jean Dairy's sister is Mariah Dairy, who is Amy's mom. So I think this is actually an interesting claim that she's making, that I have a better claim. She says, Gatehouse Amy is a dairy only on her mother's side. My good daughter Jean is her aunt and a full sister to Lady Mariah. So here we have 2 sisters, 2 dairy sisters. One's older than the other, one's younger. But the younger one has sons. The older one only has a daughter. All right, so we have a Mary, who is the one that they're going with for Kevin.
Okay, the only daughter. Gotcha.
But the daughter wasn't even a dairy anyway. It was a generation up with where the dairy name actually came from, right?
But the male is one generation higher. You have to go through 2 females to get to a male on a Mary side, and you only have to go through one.
I got you. She had an example that we have some dairy in us too. It could have been us.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is a rule for how this should work out, but in Game of Thrones, we know it. Like, when it's that convoluted, it doesn't fucking matter. It's a fucking close call. It could go either way. And that's kind of what they're saying here. And Jenna's like, I wish they would have gone with my way because it would have been safer. River Run's a hot target. And the problem with River Run is it's poisoned because dairy is extinguished in the male line. No one's going to show up and claim to be Lord of Dairy in 10 years because they still managed to keep the name.
These Tullys are still out there.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. And there's a quick little thought that maybe they could marry Ty Frey.
Tywin. They call him Ty, but on the family tree, it's actually Tywin. This is Cleos' son, Tywin Frey. Yes.
Cleos' son.
Cleos and the dairy.
Oh, he's a young boy.
Cleos and the dairy wife.
So he's a young boy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I think he's like 12.
And which he's going to marry the unborn daughter of Edmure if it would be a girl.
If it's a girl.
Which would make it. Now you Ty and the family's back together. Have a shot.
This Ty is the one that you're talking about, Nelson? As being the Frey? That could have went to dairy and made sense at dairy?
Yes. Okay. Because he is Cleos' son and Cleos' wife is a dairy.
Putting names on it.
Yep.
Putting names on it really helped explain it. Yeah. Go ahead.
And interesting because Cleos has brothers, but the way succession works, even though Cleos is dead, right? Because Emmond's going to take over River Run. Say everything works out. We win the castle. Emmond takes over River Run.
All of Cleos' kids first.
Exactly. Which is why it goes to Ty instead of to Cleos' brothers.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's also worried that Brendan might just take the castle for himself, or bring Rob and Aaron on board.
Yeah, this is a funny thing because Jaime's like, Rob and Aaron, like, I know him. He was sucking titties at 4 years old. Still, like, he's not gonna live long enough to breed. Like, we don't gotta worry about him.
Yeah, that kid's not gonna be a problem.
He's like, plus, why would you need River Run if you have the Erie? And she's like, why would somebody want one bag of gold if they have another one? Men are fucking greedy. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was moving on. So
yeah, me too.
All right, so then it's like, I always again, why didn't Tywin give Kevin River Run? Lancel could have been fine, but Lancel took an oath.
Well, yeah, she's like, why didn't we do this the other way around? And it's like, well, Tywin could have asked me, but he only ever asked Kevin. So she's like, how did Kevin end up with the more favorable and safe castle for his family, where my family has this one? It's like, it's because Tywin didn't ask me. He only asked Kevin, like he always did, which is again, kind of funny. It seems like she's implying Kevin knew all this. This whole stupid family tree, Frey, dairy.
Yeah.
Kevin thought about all this and picked where he could have picked River Run, but instead he picked dairy.
Okay.
I don't know if I believe that, but
I think that's definitely what she's. I think that's what she's
maybe
implying.
I do.
Here.
I think it's.
I don't see why you wouldn't though. Like why? Like because
she's implying like I definitely would have picked dairy, but Tywin didn't ask me. He only ever asked Kevin. And then what do we know? We know Kevin picked all this shit. Like Jaime said that 4 times. Lancel didn't pick it. Kevin picked it.
I think in most cases people would pick the bigger castle, right? Like,
but this one's occupied.
I guess my question is, back whenever Tywin's writing papers, the Red Wedding's done and dusted, he's writing papers, dealing out lands. You don't think Kevin was sitting there right next to him and Tywin was like, hey, who do I give Riverrun to? And Kevin could have been like, me. But instead he had the same thought process that Jenna did, that Derry's safer and still pretty good, so I'll take that one.
I'll give you my thought, and you can take it for what it's worth. I think they were probably like, all right, let's throw the phrase something that looks pretty and flashy, which I think Emmond takes the bait, right? Emmond's, loving this place. Let's make the pot sweet enough for the phrase to jump in bed with us, even though maybe it is the less desirable thing. Maybe Kevin does know right up in front, like, all right, like, give me Derry, though, because I don't want to be fucking in danger. Give the phrase that. It'll make them feel special. And then, because they took everything that's special about Riverrun away and gave it to Harrenhal, but it's obviously a better castle for the phrase to have than a Lannister.
Jeff, are you saying it is... Oh, fuck.
I don't think it was more so Kevin being afraid to defend Riverrun. It was more so, let's get the phrase in bed with us.
Yeah, what I was going to say is a secondary benefit that Derry was safer?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a really good point that I wasn't thinking about. Later, when I think Jenna asked, why would Tywin do this? And Jaime thinks he's doing this for you and for your children. He's thinking about you. Jeff, you're implying that's not all he's thinking about, though. He's still thinking about, we got to get the phrase on our side. We're trying to butter up the phrase.
I think that's part
giving
of it,
them Riverrun is a 2 birds for 1 stone. Two birds with 1 stone. Okay. I see that. That's a good point. I like when Jeff... See, the thing is, Jeff, I always assume you're stupid and you have all these bad takes, but I feel like at least once a chapter, you bring out some logic that just makes sense, and I love it.
Every chapter. Literally every chapter.
At least once.
I honestly don't know if Old Man Frey would have been like, yeah, give me Derry Castle. Like, fuck you. I'm the guy of the twins. Like, you're giving me something bigger than... Like, I'm the twins guy. You can't sell me down. You got to sell me up.
It's a really good point, and we don't got to go down this rabbit hole. The only thing... Now that you say that I think that he might want Derry is we did hear in the last chapter the elder brother was like, we bury him side by side, Stark and Lannister, Bracken and Blackwood, Frey and Derry, and it was like that one kind of felt weird. Like, why do you mention Frey and Derry? Like, we don't know that they're mortal enemies as if the other ones are. But so
distinguished house doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I agree. Moving on.
All right. But it goes back to Lancel, like, not surprised that he took the oath. Is that because Jaime took an oath and he wanted to be like Jaime? I
think that's the implication, and I don't know if it also implies she knows about incesty stuff, but it at least implies that she thinks that Lancel is just trying to like be like Jaime, like he always has been. Like, she knows this as like the aunt.
Yeah. So then we get the history lesson on why the fuck did Cersei arm the High Septon? Yeah.
So the only thing I have before that, and we mentioned it earlier in passing, but probably what's going to happen here is Kevin's just going to marry the next son up, Martin Lannister, to Amy and keep everything in Derry the way it was.
Yeah, but that's still like I said earlier. I don't think that kind of compares. The damage is done on that.
Here's why I'm going to disagree. It was a huge deal with Robb, because when you downgrade from Robb to Edmure, it's still, you're still marrying the Lord of Riverrun, but you went from king to lord. The thing with Derry is the man doesn't bring shit to the table. Literally, Amy's the one that allows you to take Derry because she's the Derry name. So it doesn't matter. Just give me any Lannister and we'll take over Derry. Is the way Freys see this. You know what I mean?
All right.
So I think it's different in terms of what they've lost. They haven't lost anything.
There's some principle there.
There's definitely a principle.
I think Walter will not see it the same way. That's all I have to say.
I'm not saying. I think that's a great point. The principle. I just mean totally in logistic, political terms.
So pretty much she gets into like previously.
Yeah, read the quote, Kyle. Read the quote for the. Okay. Yeah, basically says, "I hope there were good reasons."
Reasons. Lady Jenna made a rude noise. They'd best be good reasons. The swords and stars troubled even the Targaryens. Conqueror himself tread carefully with the faith, so they would not oppose him. And when Aegon died and the lords rose up against his sons, both orders were in the thick of that rebellion. The more pious lords supported them and many of the small folk. King Maegor finally had to put a bounty on them. He paid a dragon for the head of any unrepentant warrior's son, and a silver stag for the scalp of a poor fellow, if I recall any history. Thousands were slain, but not as many still roamed the realm, defiant, till the Iron Throne slew Maegor and King Jaehaerys agreed to pardon all those who had set aside their swords. Jaime confessed that he forgot most of it, and then she says, yeah, you and your sister both probably would.
Yeah, I mean, so we've heard about this history in passing that Maegor and Jaehaerys were involved. I don't actually know if I remembered it completely like this. I remember an event that's not mentioned here, but it's neither here nor there. That might really be in the history books. So kind of interesting. I think the point is these guys caused a lot of trouble last time, and they were like involved in these like rebellions that were happening.
Well, yeah, because like they probably saw it as like the kings were doing unpious stuff, right? So now you've armed these people and told them they're able to defend themselves against any threat to their religion, it seems.
Yeah. And I can tell you basically what happened was Aegon came over and he would just like, he already had 2 wives when he showed up, and the faith was not cool with polygamy or incest, at least with siblings. And they showed up and he's like, I already married my 2 sisters, so I broke both your rules, but it was in the past. We're not going to do it anymore. And then his son was like, okay, I'm marrying my children. And the faith's like, that's not cool. We had this thing. Like, I know your dad did it, but like we had this whole rule. And then Maegor was like, I'm just going to marry whoever I want. And they're like, well, that's the other problem. Like, we don't like that. Like, so there was both of his sons ruled, first son and second son. And basically both of them, the faith had problems. Faith had problems with the first son marrying his children, the second son marrying a bunch of different women. And the second son, who is Maegor, was like, well, fuck you. We're just going to bounty. Give me gold. You'll get gold if you kill the warrior sons. And it seemed like it didn't work great for him. They were kind of a pain in his ass his whole life. And when he died, the next king was basically like, okay, we'll stop killing you if you just agree to end it. Put down your swords. We'll protect your septs. We've heard this before. She doesn't mention this here, but he's like, we'll protect your septs and stuff. We'll do the job that these guys were doing, but you're not allowed to have swords anymore. And basically that's the whole thing that Cersei's like, fuck it, give them the swords back. So
yeah, why don't you guys have swords? Is pretty much what she said.
I mean, it makes sense because she's not protecting the septs. So, and that's what the High Septon said. He's like, okay, well, protect the septs, do your job. And she's like, nah, it's too hard, you do it. Is pretty much how she saw it. But here's the history lesson. Yeah. So, and he's like, I forgot. Yeah, like you said, I forgot most of that. So she's like, Cersei must have forgot it too. And she's like, was it true that Tywin was smiling on his beer?
He was just rotting. He wasn't actually smiling.
Yes, exactly. And Jeff, read this. You read this quote.
Men say that Tywin never smiled, but he smiled when he wed your mother, and when Eris made him hand. When Tarbeck Hall came crashing down on Lady Ellen, that scheming bitch, Tide came, he smiled then, and he smiled at your birth. Jaime, I saw that with my own eyes. You and Cersei, pink and perfect, as like as 2 peas in a pod. Well, except between the legs. What lungs you had.
Hear us roar.
Jaime grinned.
Next, you'll be telling me how much you like to laugh.
No. Tywin mistrusted laughter. He heard too many people laughing at your grandsire.
She frowned.
I promise you, this mama's farce of a siege would not have amused him. How do you mean to end it, now that you're here?
So, kind of funny, like, we definitely never saw Tywin smile, right? Like, we only saw, like, the stern face, but she's kind of saying, like, when he was...
Nor laugh, for sure.
In his youth, a little laugh he did not like, yeah. But, like, in his youth, like, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to see, like, a character like Tywin from a character like Jenna, right? It's the perspective we've never seen of this guy.
You can imagine he's sitting at his Solar getting word that the Red Wedding worked, right? Like, he probably smiled that day at his desk by himself.
I could see him not smiling, too, though.
Nah.
Like, I think just the same.
Yeah, but, like, that type of smile doesn't warm my heart. The smile that like he would have when Jaime is born, or like when he marries his wife, like, and there's some mixed in here, like when Tarbeck Hall came crashing down. That one doesn't warm my heart, but some of them are like just normal human smiles, and it's just like Tywin was kind of like a robot almost, like how always in the zone he was
in front of everybody,
exactly.
In front of people. He was good in front of people.
That's why it's cool to like hear from Jenna, who has seen him with his guard down. Right? I don't know. I think it is.
Yeah, I think there's more. Right? It's a layer. I think it's a facade for I'm Lannister, don't fuck with me because you fucked with my dad, right? That's what it all goes back to.
Yeah.
All right. He means to offer terms.
Like terms need trust, and you're surrounded by fucking phrase. And no offense, Jaime, but
you're
called the Kingslayer.
Which he didn't like that. He was like, "Well, fuck it, I might have to just kill him then."
Yeah, I'll fucking kill him then. I like this too. She doesn't back down. Again, it's like the family thing. Like, Jaime, you can't make your aunt back down. She's like, how? She's like, I'm not fucking stupid, Jaime. And she doesn't say it, but she's like, you don't fucking got a hand anymore, bro.
Well, she says with your tongue is what she says to him.
Yeah, like, well, what are you gonna fucking do?
You ain't stabbing that guy.
Did you guys have seen Body Python? It's like Jaime's like the Black Knight when he doesn't have it. Well, at least when he has one. It's like, cut your arm off. It's like, oh fucking Dalton. I was like, what do you mean your arm's off? Jamie's this guy. Exactly. Yeah.
It's just a flesh wound. Yeah.
It's just a flesh wound. He's like, okay, well, that's not going to work. He's like, well, she's like, what do you think we should do? I was like, I actually think M's right. Fucking kill Edmure and prove that your threats aren't, like, you don't have false threats. Because Jamie basically just said, I'm going to fucking kill Blackfish, false threat. And
then she just rolls right into making fun of every council choice that Cersei made.
Yeah, pretty much, right? And Jamie says we can't kill Edmure because it'll harden the Blackfish's resolve. And she's like, he never lacked for that. And then, I think she just jumps right into basically shitting on Cersei's council.
Yeah, so we never really get his plans on how to break the siege.
Except for good terms to Blackfish is all we know.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out what his terms would be, and I guess just not killing him is probably the best terms I could think about, right?
Just let him go?
I don't know. Maybe not let him go. I don't know. I don't know what they would be. I don't have a good idea of what Jaime's terms are at this point.
Okay. We have a few minutes to think about it if anything comes to you further than chapter.
Okay.
But yeah, she sits on the council, Jeff. Do you have what she hates about everybody?
No.
Harry Swift, she says he deserves his sigil more than anybody. This is a weird comment. His sigil's a rooster. It's like a blue rooster on yellow. It's a really ugly sigil if you look it up on the wiki. It's just like it's very bright colors and just ugly. But I don't understand what the joke is here. It's a rooster is pretty much what it is.
Cock? I don't know.
Maybe. That's a good thought. That's pretty good.
I thought,
I don't know.
You said sigil, right? Not name. Like Swift, I said maybe he's just like gonna run away type of thing. Or
and she says arms in the book.
Arms,
but
yeah. So he's a cock.
I didn't think about that, but that might be what she said. Yeah, probably. She doesn't like Giles Rosby. She's like, I thought he died years ago. Like that's a bad one.
He's the coffer, right?
Is that the coffin?
The coffin guy. Yeah. Orton Merriweather. Tywin used to call his grandfather, who was at hand to Aerys, the chuckler, because all he was good for was chuckling at all of Aerys' jokes, and he chuckled himself
big yes
into
man.
exile. Exactly, big yes man, which fits for what we've seen for Orton. Orton is Taena's husband, also.
Yep.
Right. And then he's like, also, we got some bastard on the council, and we got a Kettle in the Kingsguard, Arryn Waters and Osmond Kettleblack. She doesn't like these appointments. And she's like, she's been rearming the faith, and she's got the Iron Bank of Bravos calling in loans all over Westeros. He's like, none of this would be happening if she would have put Kevin in charge. And Jamie's like, Kevin wouldn't do it.
Yeah, she tried, but tried second because she tried Jaime first, right?
Yeah, when they're looking at Tywin's body, right?
He says no, and she's like, I wasn't gonna ask you anyway.
Yeah, it's like a weird moment in front of other people. Yeah, it's an awkward moment. Yeah. So yeah, he's like, Kevin refused it. And read this little part here, Kyle. This is what makes me think that Jenna might know something about what's going on with them. Or Jeff.
So he said he did not say why. There was much he did not say, would not say.
Lady Jenna made a face.
Kevin always did what was asked of him. It is not like him to turn away from any duty. Something is awry here. I can smell it.
What do you think, Jeff? Do you think that means she thinks something's up with
I don't know.
So he said he did not say why. There was much he did not say, would not say.
For
Something's
sure.
awry here.
I don't know if that's like, oh, you two are fucking. Like, it could just be like.
She's heard the rumor. So you have to assume she's heard the rumor. Everyone just heard the rumor.
Well, then sure. I would say fine.
Then you think it isn't more. That points more to, she thinks it's true.
Sure.
Even that's Jaime's implication out of this, too. That's like the first thing he says is he said that he was tired. He knows, Cersei had said as they stood about it, he knows about us. So like I feel like she's also putting that together, and he knows that she knows.
I can see that, but I can also see Jaime just saying he's making him an excuse. He said that he was tired because he has to answer to saying why he didn't accept it. Like he offered it and refused it, and she's saying why would he do that? And he's saying, well, he just says he was tired. And then he goes in, and then he just subconsciously thinks about the real reason. Also, didn't like Kevin heavily imply to Jaime that he knew the true reason?
Oh yeah,
like Jaime's here saying like, "Oh, Cersei told me he knew." It's like he knew because he told you he knew basically. But
I agree with that too. Yeah, he definitely told him that.
Yeah, that's neither here nor there. And she's basically like, "Well, he has the right to be tired. It's always been hard on him and the other brothers. Like Tywin was kind of a superhuman figure, cast a big shadow." And then we got a little quote.
Tyget tried to be his own man, but he could never match your father, and that just made him angry as the years went by. Garyon made japes. Better to mock the game than to play and lose. But Kevin saw how things stood early on, so he made himself a place by your father's side.
And you?
Jaime asked her.
It was not a game for girls. I was my father's precious princess, and Tywin's too, until I disappointed him. My brother never learned to like the taste of disappointment.
She pushed herself to her feet.
I've said what I've came to say. I shan't take any more of your time. Do what Tywin would have done.
Did you love him?
Jaime heard himself ask. His aunt looked at him strangely.
I was 7 when Walder Frey persuaded my lord father to give my hand to M, his second son, not even his heir. Father was himself a third-born son. Younger children crave the approval of their elders. Frey sensed that weakness in him, and father agreed for no better reason than to please him. My betrothal was announced at a feast with half the West in attendance. Ellen Tarbeck laughed, and the Red Lion went angry from the hall. The rest sat on their tongues. Only Tywin dared speak against the match, a boy of 10. Father turned as white as mare's milk, and Walder Frey was quivering.
She smiled.
How could I not love him after that? That is not to say that I approved of all he did, or much enjoyed the company of the man that he became, but every little girl needs a big brother to protect her. Tywin was big even when he was little. Who will protect us now?
Jaime kissed her cheek.
He left a son.
Aye, he did. That is what I fear the most, in truth.
That was a queer remark.
Why should you fear?
Jaime,
She said, tugging on his ear.
Sweetling, I have known you since you were a babe at Joanna's breast. You smile like Arion and fight like Tig, and there's some of Kevin in you, else you would not wear that cloak. But Tyrion is Tywin's son, not you. I said so once to your father's face, and he would not speak to me for half a year. Men are such thundering great fools, even the sort who come along once in 1,000 years.
Good job. Good quote. Like the voice. And it's pretty good quote. I think this is probably a top fan. At least this little last section is a top fan quote.
I didn't recall this conversation, and I think the zinger at the end that you're not Tywin's son is maybe a shocker. Like from a credible source that Jaime can like now reflect on this wholeheartedly. Like, oh fuck, like I'm not the guy. You're not him.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not.
I mean,
you bowl a 280. You bowled a 280.
You are Tywin's son. You are not him.
You know how hard that is. Yeah, no, I mean it is a big revelation, big quote as well, in my opinion, because like this is the first anybody's really held Tyrion in great regard, and that was kind of what I was trying to get at earlier, is that she was like disappointed to hear that Tyrion would do something like that, but at the same time, I think you guys pointed out that it might have been a Tywin play to some degree, and that it didn't necessarily mean that she respected him in a way, like, because she also says some not great things about Tywin, right? Like she's like, him. I didn't really like being around him anymore. He was
much enjoyed the man that he became.
Yeah, he was kind of garbage, right? Like, but he was a leader.
He was good to have as a big brother, awful to have as a friend.
But this moment she talks about where she's being betrothed at this feast in front of everybody to the second son of Frey, and the Tarbeck lady, who Tywin ends up literally crushing her castle on her head, and her whole family. Yeah. Tarbeck doesn't exist anymore. And the Red Lion. Take a wild guess who the Red Lion is. Is there another house that Tywin did a similar thing to besides the Tarbecks?
Who's the Castemirs? What's that family?
House Rains of Castamere. That's this guy.
Right.
The lord at the time. The one laughed, and the other one just like left the hall. Like
stormed out.
Yeah. Like.
Okay, so you're saying that was the whole reason.
And Tywin's not the whole reason, but like Tywin's a 10-year-old kid at the time. She's 7. I think Tywin's 10, and he stands up and speaks against this in a public setting. Like, this is bullshit. What do we do? No way. Like they're beneath us, right? Which then explains why at feasts and stuff, while Emmon's he's like poking at his food while Jenna's fucked, because he is super uncomfortable. And Tywin says that for a wedding gift, he gave Emma a sick belly or something like that, because like he literally at the feast where they were betrothed was like, this is bullshit, this guy's way below us, he doesn't deserve we deserve better than this. He's a second son of the Frey. I mean, I don't know if they knew at the time, but now we know Ryman, who was the first son, had a whole fucking, I might have said earlier M was the son of a different daughter. He might actually be the son of the second son total of Walder. But that's still like 100th down the line, because Ryman has grandsons at this point.
Way too many kids, yeah.
So it's still an insult, I think, is the point. It's like the marriage is below her, and Tywin knew that at 10. But again, he thinks his father's weak, and his father's kind of like a pushover to these lesser lords. And Tywin's standing up for his own sister at 10, which is why she respects him so much, even if she doesn't agree with all.
Love how he does it. Yeah, nowadays. The ways.
Yeah, she's like, everyone needs a big brother to protect her, and he was the only one that stood up for me at this feast when basically I got given away to a nobody.
Yeah,
it's how she sees it. Yeah. So
interesting.
Again, I think I like this quote because it just sheds a ton of light on Tywin as like he was very like she says like, oh, he smiled, and we can see like a lighter side to him, but also he was still very much Tywin even as fucking at a 10-year-old. You know what I mean? So kind of cool.
Yeah. How's Siege go, Kyle? What do you think? How's the tree?
I don't know, man. I know Nelson said earlier I was hoping to pull something out of this quote or something, and
I just think it's a really interesting like setup for a Siege. Like we have all these different people who we know don't love each other. Lannisters don't really love the Freys too much. Yeah. They don't hate the Freys, but they're new friends. And we got the River Lords who are definitely hate everybody there. And then we got
and I'm team that River Lords are like secretly plotting. So like I mean hopefully that's what happens.
It's just weird because like who do they rally behind? Like I said, we don't have a Stark anymore. We think Bran and Rickon are dead. Rob's dead.
Yeah, you're right. There's no unifying force, but they have to do something at some point. I mean, Bren, the Blackfish here, I think is kind of the Riverlands. It's all you got left.
It's hard. I agree that would be an easy go-to. I think it's really hard to do that when Edmure's still alive, though. Because he should be the clear one, but he's literally.
He might die in this scuffle here, right? Like who knows?
I think that's a really good reason to not kill him. It kind of gives no legitimacy. You can't have any legitimacy for Blackfish because if you killed Edmure, that's who would be heir, right? It goes to the father's brother. So
unless he has a kid.
Unless he has a kid, exactly. A boy, again, a girl would be complicated, but a boy would make it really tough. I think that's a really good reason to not kill Edmure, because if you do, when you kill him, you make Blackfish Lord, which is like maybe that's why Blackfish doesn't really care either. they're having
true. It's a benefit to him, win-win kind of thing.
Again, I don't think he wants his nephew to be. I don't think he wants it, but again, it's like, what's he gonna do? So. I think the setup for the Siege is just super interesting. Like the cast of characters we have that are not unified on the outside. Some of the people on the outside seem to have a more reason to like the people on the inside. We got Rob's wife for the first time being mentioned on the inside. Yeah, just a ton of interesting stuff going on. So
I mean, the only thing I can really think of that Jaime could offer him that isn't just his life would be like information about Sansa or Arya at that point, right? Like, because he kind of believes she's still alive.
Like, Jaime doesn't know much, though.
I know, but I mean, like, he's got somebody out looking for her. Like, there's like this still kind of subplot of this happening.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's only. What else would it be?
We'll see.
You can go back to the Eyrie, like, get the fuck out of here, but I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
And we'll see that on the next one.
The next Jaime chapter.
Cat of the Canals is on deck.
Any comments on the next chapter?
It's Cat of the Canal. So it's Arya again, and she's with her dude Sam, I believe, right?
She did encounter Sam in the last Sam chapter.
Yeah.
So if you thinking that this chapter covers the same time?
I hope we get a little bit of overlap here. Yeah, I hope she realizes or wonders who that is. Hopefully,
or maybe she just keeps bumping in with him because Sam didn't seem to have an immediate way. I guess he did at the very end. He met up with Zondo, I think.
All right, let's roll.
We'll see you in that one. See you in the Cat of the Canals.
Bye, Kyle.
On to the spoiler section. Bye-bye.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you on the next one for Cat of the Canals. Now on to the spoiler section. Jeff?
All right. Bopping in. I just want to go back to the old gods I mentioned in the non-spoiler, but the trees are talking to us.
The whistling and the wolves?
Yeah. The old gods are here, I'll tell you that.
They are with the Riverlands.
Yeah.
And I thought the interesting part, too, is there was a part where Daven says there's the night fires are in the high places and in the towns now. There's some new god. And Jaime says, no, it's some old one. Is Jaime saying that the red god is... related to or the same?
I don't think they're related. I just think it's been around.
I think there's something that Melisandre says or somebody says that implies that, like, doesn't Melisandre talk about the great other? Like couldn't like I think there's a thought that the old god and the red god are like opposite. Like the red god, the bad god, the devil for the red god is the old god, and the devil for the red god would be the new like
the cold god, right? The cold dark god.
Tree god, wouldn't like fire god.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but I just thought it was weird that when he said the old god, some new god, and Jamie was like, no, it's an old god. Talking about, but what he was talking about was R'hllor. Sure. And when we think of old god, we don't think of
it's old gods, not old god.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
I do, but I'm saying I don't think too much into what you're saying.
I got it. But okay, next one.
Kyle didn't pick up on Cat being the hanger.
Yes. Well, it's tough to pick up because he doesn't know the Barrack's dead. And again, we don't know the Barrack's dead for sure. Thoros tells us that, but we don't know for sure.
But we know from the prologue that Cat's hanging cats for no reason, right?
Yes. Because they're Freys. That's her reason. Yeah. And these guys are Lannisters, right? Because they're Devon's foraging party. So that's enough reason for her.
Anyone involved, more so, right?
Yeah. To me, Cat is hanging any Lannister or Frey, like without question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say, like, if she would run across the Bolton, like, he's probably going to be hanging from a tree too,
yes,
right?
Bolton
like,
too. Anybody involved with the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, I didn't think Kyle would pick up on it, but, like, the more he ironed it out, like, when you said, like, oh, they yielded, right, and still got hung, like, we have witnessed someone yield and get hung still.
Well, I was about to say it, but I didn't want to make it too obvious for Kyle. The Hound... Like, have we seen Barrack hang that many people like this? Like, the Hound yielded and then basically got to 1v1 Barrack. Like, that's how he didn't get hung. Just like he didn't get accused and hung.
Right. I don't remember.
And he didn't even yield. He got captured.
Barrack wasn't really just running around hanging. He was hanging the guilty, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, they were doing some form of trial, and the Hound was basically, this is a bullshit trial. It was like, I want to fight you then, and I think they gave it to him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right.
I guess to be fair though, Barrack, if you go back to that chapter when the Hound's like, "What did I do?" They literally lift off because I went back because one of the names was one of the names of the Riverlord houses who's here for Jaime. They just list off like literally a list of like 50 people that the Hound's never even heard of that the Lannisters had something to do with, and because the Hound is related to the Lannisters, they're claiming him guilty for. So the Hound was able to like be like, "No, I didn't do that. 1v1 me," but like. Would a random Lannister guardsman be able to do that, or would they just name him guilty for the deeds of the other Lannisters? Because that's what they were doing with the Hound. They were trying to do with the Hound. So I don't know. Maybe we have seen Barrack potentially treat people kind of like this, just kind of like name them guilty for the association. But
it was kind of like the Dark Knight Rises, like guilty by exile or death.
Yeah,
death by exile.
I think basically what Cat is doing is a crazy form of guilty by association. So I think it'll be really interesting. You probably hated that I talked about this. I spent so much time on this person, but I think what would be super interesting is if Cat came across Perwyn Frey, because he's the one that helped take her down to Bitterfrid.
I don't think it's that interesting because Cat's gonna kill him.
So Perwyn Frey was the one that helped take her to Bitterbridge to visit Renly, and when she got to the Red Wedding, he was one of the ones who was not there.
It's not Cat though.
You think he's dead? I think that's a super interesting chapter if we see that on page.
The question is, how much of a mind are you giving Lady Stoneheart? Like, is she just on a like, I ran across you, you're dead type of kick, or?
I think what we have now is we have no idea, and I think if we saw her encounter Perwyn, I mean, I guess us seeing her encounter Brienne gives us a very similar thing, and she just does not give a fuck, right? She's like, you, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
And she knew Cat, or like Cat and Brienne knew each other.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. Like, she knew Brienne better than she knew Perwyn. So my argument's kind of null and void that we'd learn. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Cat's killing anyone. Keep all that in. I know you'll edit that out. And
no, I'll leave it. You think I edit my dumbness out?
You do.
I leave it all in. That's the most interesting because it happens the least often.
Yeah. Okay. Just keep letting you talk. It'll happen about 10 times a podcast.
Jean Westerling.
Yeah, I don't remember her being there. It's also weird. I was gonna say it live with Kyle. Like, man, why is her family still there when the Westerling family betrayed Robb, right?
Well, even if that's true, then they're being held captive, which is what Gawain seems to think anyway.
Seem to feel, yeah.
You're implying that they're not, and they're still gung-ho on the Lannister side. That's not how it seems. Like, when Jaime takes his castle, they're like, thank God you saved us. Like, it seems like they're Lannisters being held prisoner pretty much.
I don't even remember what like Jaime brings to the table.
There is a really weird part here where Jaime, when he sees Jean, he remembers her differently. Like, Kat thinks, like, oh, she doesn't have good hips for bearing children, and Jaime thinks, like, oh, she does have good hips or something like that. So there's a thought that she was switched with her younger daughter because she is actually pregnant with Rob's child.
But they know that the young daughter's there.
I think that's also something that George has straight up come out and said that's a typo by me. Like, Jaime should, like, her hips should have been the same as before. I just fucked it up.
Well, you can't drop the ball on that, George. Also,
when it's taken 20 years to write Wins a Winner.
Well, no wonder.
A passing comment in an interview, he's, you know what I mean? He's a Gardner writer. If he wants Jane and this other one to be flipped and the hips made it make sense. But we'll see. I didn't want to talk about this now because I think it's actually something that George has so much said it was a typo, he actually fixed it in newer editions of the book. So in the next Jaime chapter, or in whatever Jaime chapter, it might actually be in Dance, when he actually takes River Run, we'll check and see, because I have I have a pretty
new edition too.
Yeah,
I feel like ours are different.
My iPad has typos that your book doesn't, which is weird. You think they'd update the iPad as a digital?
I got my books well before, like, it was a set, right? So like they were all
But there's definitely times where I had typos on my iPad version, because I use that normally to take notes, because that's where I take notes on, that you and Kyle have had fixed that I have typos. Yeah, so that was all I had for him, or for her.
What does Jaime bring to, what does he say?
That's actually a really good question. I don't remember what he offers. I was thinking, like...
But it works? It works.
No, it doesn't. He has to threaten Edmure later about catapulting his son.
And what's Edmure do? Walk to the drawbridge?
Yeah, I think it's the same as the show. He goes in and he's like, I'm Lord of River. Like, I kind of was alluding to at the end of the chapter. I'm still Lord, not Brendan. So once I'm in here, you have to listen to me. Which is funny. Like, imagine if they would have tried that with Emmon. But yeah, exactly.
And then Blackfish, does he die? Doesn't he go down swinging in the show, but he sets somebody free?
Oh no, in the books he escapes. He slips under the boom.
But in the show he sacrifices himself so that Brienne can get away.
Yeah, he goes down swinging. Yes.
So Brienne can get away?
He's talking to Brienne right before he goes down swinging. She's like, "Come with me, I can get away." He's like, "I'm too old." It's like, "I've been itching for a fight." Like, that's kind of how it. Like, he could have got away with Brienne if he wanted to, but he's like, "Nah."
He probably won. They just didn't want to pay him anymore.
This says, okay, so I'm reading the wiki now, so I actually don't remember what the offer is. And it says, Blackfish is aware of the oath that Jaime swore Catelyn. I knew that. So he's like, "Are you here to resume your captivity because you don't have the daughters?" Basically, right? And then Jaime offers Edmure Tully in exchange for Lady Sibel Spicer and her children, but Blackfish refuses, saying he swore to Robb to keep his wife safe and he won't hand her over to a frayed noose. Jaime responds that the girl has been pardoned and no harm will come to her nor anyone else if Brandon yields Riverrun. So yeah, he's just going to let everybody go. They will be free to go or take the black as they choose, but Brendan dismisses the offer, claiming that his men would rather die with swords in their hands than be paraded through King's Landing to die like Eddard Stark. So basically, he doesn't believe Jaime. It's kind of basically like, yeah, you can all just go or take the black or just get the fuck out of here. I don't care. Just give me the castle. You can all just leave. But he thinks that Jaime's lying because Jaime has a bad rep.
Mm-hmm. All right, I don't have anything else.
Let me see. I think I have a few just passing things. This is a cool one. Ryman Frey has brought a singer because Jenna did.
Marillion.
That's the one up in the Erie. No, this is Thomas Evans, who was one of the brothers.
Oh, he's a Brotherhood guy undercover.
Exactly. There was a part when Jaime lies to Jenna about where Cleos was.
Yeah, they're just gonna send some bones, like Ned. Just send some random bones up north.
Bones were bones. These days, nothing was easier to come by. I think this could be a mountain. Cersei just sent a skull to Dorne. Bones are bones.
Okay, yeah. I went Ned. You went mountain.
Who cares about Ned's bones? I mean, people do. Like, where are they?
When the dead rise up and bony Ned fights for the good people because he's so honorable. You'll remember I said that.
I mean, people do. I mean, Ned's bones is a big question in the fandom, but it's not like, are they going to come back up or have they been swapped? It's where are they? Because they were on their way north and they're stuck in the neck somewhere. Rob sent them with like Mage Mormont, who was supposed to go meet up with Hal and Reed.
The Frogmen have them.
I think they do have them. Yes. Last thing, very mentioned in passing, but I love this one. Jenna's like, Cersei rearmed the Faith, and that when she's going through all the stupid shit she's doing, all the bad counselors, at the end she's like, she rearmed the Faith, and the Iron Bank are calling in loans across Westeros. So because she's the Iron Bank are calling in loans, this becomes a huge plot point with Littlefinger, because our boy Littlefinger is buying up the debt.
We've talked about this.
We have. I just think it's interesting because it's kind of like the first hint. So basically, Iron Bank saying, "Hey, you got to give me your money now," because King's Landing is not giving their money, which does two things. One, it squeezes the house, but two, it makes the house not like awful. King's Landing.
Yeah, it looks awful for the leadership.
So Littlefinger's like, "Hey, I'll pay your debt, but now you still owe me. Just pay it in time." But now Littlefinger has the ability to squeeze all these houses. Like, again, I think you still need the ability. Like, I think the Iron Bank's also just known for just paying the adversary, which is kind of what they're doing with Stannis too. They just start funding Stannis in the hope that he'll beat Cersei and then take up the debt. Not just to be like, that's not mine, but he takes that on then and he'll pay that back in time. But yeah, I think it's interesting that they mentioned the Iron Bank calling their loans here.
All right.
Yeah,
wrap it up. All right, we'll see you guys.
We'll see you guys in the next one for Cat at the Canal. Should be a good one. I think this might be the last Arya one. Again, I think we only get a few of this book, but we're getting to the end. So see you guys in that one. Bye-bye.
Bye.